Hey guys, welcome back to more AFK Arena. In today's video, we have a special treat. We have Linker. If you haven't checked out Linker's YouTube channel, I'll leave it linked in the description. He does a lot of endgame campaign, really in-depth analysis content, which is absolutely fantastic and can help you guys along the way. But the reason he's here today is because I want to challenge him to some sparring matches in the new draft arena, but also just get his thoughts on it in general. It's a fantastic format. I think you guys know I absolutely love it, and I can't get enough of it. So I'm just going to play some games in the background while this happens. We'll let Linker have a talk, we'll have a discussion, and then we'll get into some duels. But Linker, welcome to the channel. Please introduce yourself, talk about, I want to hear your background story, how you got into like gaming in the first place, what got you into AFK Arena, what you like about it, all the general stuff so everyone can get to know you.
All right, so pleasure to be here, Volkin. Thank you so much for having me. I've been a watcher of your channel. It got me first into this whole thing. I'm Linker. You can call me Adam. I'm 23-year-old. I stay in Israel. I live currently about to move to my girlfriend's place. Someone in Discord heard about her. I really like the number side of things. Ever since I was really young, I was hooked on games where I could really like build them, min-max. That's what I personally enjoy a lot. I like crunching those things and understanding them in depth. So ever since I was a little kid, I had this dream that I could be a hacker. Have you ever seen these movies where they fantasize hackers in the 90s and the 2000s?
Yeah, with like 15 screens all around the joint, and you're like, damn,
Yeah.
in a dark room, it's like, that's me.
Oh man, but that got me so hooked. So my first dream ever was to become a hacker, and I kind of tried to do that. So I went to the one sec. So I studied computers, got into programming, did a little bit of cybersecurity, and my second dream was always to game. So I really like playing old core games. When I was really young, I got into all these flash games and stuff like that. Eventually picked up on stuff like WoW, DDO, all kinds of MMORPGs,
Wait,
and
wait, wait, wait.
eventually just
What
started.
was your main class in WoW? I gotta know.
Oh,
And
Paladin. I did Paladin.
if you if you say alliance, we're done. This video, it's over.
All right, well then we have an issue.
It was always going to be alliance because you could only go paladins on alliance at vanilla, but that's all right. Keep going. Sorry, I had to know that.
That's fair. That's fair. I also heard that you do some Yu-Gi-Oh yourself. I love those card games.
Yes, definitely. And that's where I love this draft format that we're getting into. I played competitive Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and stuff like that, and that was like I just love. And the good thing about that stuff was like the community around it too. You actually go somewhere, physically play against people, really fun. But yeah, in terms of your strategy, like that's where my roots were for really getting excited for this type of format. Was basically, yeah, competitive Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon. But obviously I like to say I invested a lot of my younger time into WoW as well.
All right. I mean, you could definitely see that you've been really successful in this event.
Yeah, I'm trying to push. I'm sitting at rank 2, but Shazam's got too much of a lead. I'm waiting for him to lose one match and come closer, and then I'm gonna have a push for him. But yeah, so
Ah,
and what made you
might be
get?
the latter.
Yeah, what made you get into AFK Arena?
Honestly, I just picked up like one time. It just had popped up in my recommendations as I was downloading some games to play while I was transporting on the train to my workplace, back where you could move to places. And I just saw the ad. I was like, whatever, I'll just pick it up at something. That ad wasn't actually one of the crazy ads that they have. It was just a normal one. I don't even remember what it had. But I picked up the game and I did the early chapters. I was like, oh my God, look, there's synergies, there's heroes, there's building. This is so fun. And I just eventually ended up getting so into it. It's really drawn me in. And I started by like reading all hero abilities and stuff like that. And that's where we are now.
Beautiful. And what is your favorite part of the game in general? Like, what's like the favorite thing? I know you like crunching the numbers and stuff like that. Is it just the team building and the theory crafting that really did get you stuck in and keeps you playing?
I know it's different for different people. Some people like the art, but for me, it has to be the depth. The fact that there's so much to this game. And this is one thing that we see in this mode. Like, for example, we take those heroes that nobody uses, and all of a sudden there's a different format. The fact that the devs are so engaged, and this is building out a game that is so deep, and there's so much to go in it, and not just for to content create, but just even play. Like, I would never anticipate this format coming in, even after we talked about it this other day. It just dropped all of a sudden. This changes everything, and it's like the campaign change. Everything is just so much to learn, so much to do, and it's so fun for me.
Yeah, I definitely think that Lilith are pretty long, like they look pretty far into the future with the design, because a lot of things they've been doing do support free to play to enjoy the game more. And I can see it being kind of like quote unquote dangerous in the short term ROI sense to have a feature like this where paying doesn't give you any progress. But I think overall, to build a massive community, this type of feature allows more players to have a respect for the PvP aspect of the game. Because for me, I've always loved PvP, but in the game, it just never felt like something I really wanted to push in AFK Arena, just because you are sort of gated by dollars and what you have. But this format, I'm hoping that a lot of people can get a much greater appreciation for the depth of the game in theory crafting and team building, because like it's even. Obviously, there's the RNG of heroes that you get dealt in your hand, but I feel like just about any hand can win. There are some situations where, and we'll talk a bit more about sort of strategy and stuff. But if you get dealt a win condition and the enemy has no counter to that win condition, it's very, very hard to lose with that sort of setup. But I feel like 80% of the time, at least, it's a fairly even battle depending on how you pick your team. What's your thoughts on that sort of thing?
I agree about the whole win condition thing. It kind of reminds me of those card games, like sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you draw in, or Hearthstone, or other games that kind of touch base with this. And all in the same time, this was so amazing. It's so addictive and it's so engaging, just finding out these little strategies. I think in test, the meta isn't completely solid, and people are just learning this out. And there's so many changes suggested. People talked about bans. Do you think they can somehow top this?
I actually like the format for now. I feel like a lot of people take aspects from other games like the pick and ban type system, and want to roll with that. I think it could evolve to that, but I think this is a very good starting point to get everyone used to how it functions. I feel like adding too many features into something like this could be detrimental at the start of it. So this is definitely a way that I think sort of sets it up nicely so that everyone can get used to it. And then once it settles and everyone's used to it, they might add more. But for now, I think this is pretty good where it is. And the games, they're short and sharp, doesn't take long. You can be, on a 5-minute break, play a few games and then get back to it. So I think it's a good format for the start, but definitely they could advance. But what do you think? Would you like to see those other things right now, or are you sort of happy with it just experimenting how it is at the moment?
No, I agree with you 100%. I think they should keep it simple and they should keep it wide so that FTP players can access it. One thing that would make me a little bit sad with this is if they would cap it with diamonds, for example. If they would somehow find a mechanism to kind of limit players from having fun with the feature, because AFK Arena doesn't have stamina system, which is so great about it. If they let people actually engage with this, and I don't know how messy this is going to be on global servers. It's going to have different ranks, different people, way more spread. But as it is on test, I'm having so much fun with it.
Yeah, and obviously for me, I really want this to become a permanent feature. I'm assuming you're talking more long term and you're thinking the same, that they should implement this as a permanent feature. Is that what you're thinking?
100%.
Yeah. And with your talk about diamonds, I understand that. I was curious on the Hearthstone system of spending currency to enter it, but you can win that currency back plus some. What do you feel about that sort of enrollment into it? Or is that too excluding to players that are new getting into it?
All right, so if I'm remembering right, the system in Hearthstone Arena is that you have an enrollment where you pay some certain amount upfront, and then you have a certain amount of battles, and for the more battles you win, then the higher rewards you get. And you could win more than the rewards that you paid, and somewhere around like the average. If you win half, you lose half, then you get about the same. So this system would be a little different here because obviously the ranking here works with rankings. You actually have ELO systems where you rank people.
Yeah.
And I think having it ranked based off of like having people actually pay upfront would discourage newer players from getting into it, because you would have the people that watch your channel, watch my channel, they're all into the meta, and you'd have a player just start out at like ranked 1000 and they would not have any idea what to do in this mode, and they would just get einsed and die and be very sad and lose the resources.
I definitely agree. That's like, it was just like an idea, because I'm trying to, even though I love it the way it is, where it's full free to play, I'm trying to think of a balance point, because like obviously we're going to push for them to implement it permanently, but I'm trying to find that balance point as well to make it incentivize both ways. But I just think the community growth and the way everyone is getting right into this, I think it's positive for the game altogether. So I'd be surprised if they didn't add this permanently. Maybe not directly after the event, maybe it'll take a week, a month or so, but I definitely think it will stay.
I hope so.
But moving on to that, I wanted to get some ideas on strategies that you've had in the format. I've sort of got my basic sort of 5 categories that I sort of, when I'm jumping into a game, that's what I look at. I sort of, in my brain, just categorize everything and go, how can this work? So I look at things like win condition, enablers, supports, tanks, and counters. Now, there are a lot of blurred lines between these for me. A win condition is that thing that's going to clutch you a win. And then you've got enablers, and they're the ones that are going to allow that win condition to either be free or do their thing. Support, obviously, general support is good. Rowan, really strong. Silas can fall into an enabler and support, but he's a bit more RNG based because he can really just save you a battle by injecting the right hero, but you can't fully control that. But you can sort of try to control it by positioning against where you think the burst will be, but maybe not kill you. Then you have obvious tanks, and tanks, once again, can fall into that support enabler type position. Things like Orthros is an amazing tank and enabler. One thing I wish they would do is display which hero has the highest power on your team, because things like that and the attack, because you don't know how things are going to work. Like, you don't know who Rosaline's going to follow. You don't know who's going to keep. Yeah, you don't know who's going to keep moving when Orthros is ulting. I think that would be a nice little thing to be able to know. But yeah, tanks, something like Mezoth, just really strong, and having a big chunky Mezoth in front, if they don't have anything that can lunge into the back row, is just a good thing to put there. And then have your Irons, for instance, behind him. And then counters, the main counters that you really do think of are Nara, Athalia, Iron. You know, they're really disrupting the enemy's line. But another one that I really do love in this format as a counter is going to be the Ninja Turtle, what's his name? Gorvo, amazing for this. I've really enjoyed him in this format as well. But that's sort of how I look at it, and that's how I try and piece together my teams. But the thing that I really love about it too is when you get a win condition that can also enable another win condition is incredibly strong. The biggest idea of this that I can think of is going to be Zolrath, because he is a huge win condition on himself in this format. You've got to be careful who you pair him with, because you can't be pairing him with the Flora, because Flora won't come down until he dies, so that loses him his win condition of resetting the battle. But him, along with something like an Iron, allowing you to put Iron in the front row, guaranteed to get that grab. So he sort of enables the team to do the thing with his 3 furniture. But then he's also got a massive win condition on himself to be able to, you know, just survive and then come back and destroy everyone. I'm just sort of, that was me just going on a long ramble, but I wanted to hear your strategy on when you jump into games, like how do you view it and what do you think about it and that sort of stuff.
Well, that's very insightful. I definitely see the heroes in those different categories. Another thing I want to talk about, because you talked about the categories, great. I want to talk about the different synergies. So obviously, like the most obvious ones is that mages, for example, can't miss, and you have very obvious dodge tanks. So if you're thinking about assassins, warriors, and mages, this is another subdivision where it's kind of a rock, paper, scissors. Warriors hate running into assassins and dodging. Assassins hate running into mages and not getting dodged. And mages hate suffering the damage from those warriors. So that's one thing. Another thing I look at is like specific synergies. So you talk about Zorath. I feel like he's a very risky hero on his own because it takes the defense off of all the allies that he gives via the Hypogean bonus. That's very useful. But then again, sometimes you could get Zorath and Orthos, and then you get the campaign win condition that you have sometimes, where Deja Vu keeps the Orthos buffs in place, so that if you can somehow put Zorath behind Orthos and keep the match going, you get a much stronger, much more consistent win condition because you're having both heroes benefit from the same thing. Another example of this, for example, would be, I don't want to talk about Kelther, Burke. That's your thing.
No. We're having a conversation before the video, and we started talking about this stuff. So, and then I was like, wait, let's just hold it for the video. You go through it. You go through it. There's no stress.
All right. Yeah, right. So one thing that's really awesome and does not work necessarily the same in normal arena, and that was a big discovery for me just now, is that Kelther teleports his target onto Vork's traps.
Yeah, and
this is huge.
Like I said to you, so I was like, because that's one that I found out, and it's worked every time for me. I don't know whether that it's like, and this is what I said to you earlier, but we'll let everyone else in. I don't know whether it's that Kelther puts them directly on the trap, or whether it's just that Kelther, when he teleports, he then goes and attacks the enemy back row, which basically means that the logical path for the enemy is to then move towards your back row, and then he hits the trap, or whether it just works. But yeah, it's a pretty sick combo that I really love. I've found Verk and Kelther both, like, even when not used together, can be very strong in the right team in this format as well.
That's right. Another thing, like I always see, is, for example, you look at mages in this mode in general. Most mages are either hit or miss for me. There's mages that can work and ones that are very hard to make work. I've seen Shamira and Isabella work, for example, but these are very hard to make work. Ainz and Kaz are the ones that you see, and you have to know how to counter them. And there's certain matchups that you have to understand. For example, sometimes you get this set of heroes and you don't have an invader against Ainz. Or you see Cecilia, and you're like, all right, so Cecilia into Ainz, I'll invade, but apparently his immunity doesn't work that way. So you need to know, all right, Ainz can fall down to, let's say, Athalia, sometimes Pipa, something like that, and Khazad is way more fragile, so Cecilia would work in that matchup. It's a lot of matchup knowledge, and I feel like there's a lot of experience finding those little synergies in there.
Definitely, I definitely agree. And for those that don't know, Ainz is like, he's probably the top win condition for me in the game. He's just so solid. But besides those counters, what I've found and had a bit of success with as well is if you don't have any of those raw counters, like the Athalia, the Nara, Iron can sometimes do it as well and burst him down before he gets a chance. But if you don't have anything like that, and another really good one for it, if you do have it, is Aziz, because he can do that mind control, because people are normally going to put Ainz in the top or bottom corners. But another thing that I've done and worked pretty well is put a bunch of tanky bruisers in. Something like Cirrus, who you don't really think of that much, can actually survive Ainz because he gets that incredible stacking HP and then he generates it over time. Him with like some of the bruiser maulers as well, can be really strong. Isolde as well. Due to the dimensionals not having the faction bonus, if you put a very heavy bruiser team together against the Ainz, that has been the way and it doesn't work every time, but that's been the most reliable way I've found when I don't have those lunges that I can reliably counter him with.
That's right. And those maulers, they are so much better in this mode than anywhere else. You see, Numisu is like a really, really strong pick. Scrag, obviously, with the furniture that you have, a lot of players have access to him, allowing him to buff invaders. But Antendara, for example, being a very strong carry that can dodge those physical enemies. Sophia buffing your team if you know that you'll get invaded. Satrana kind of applying counter heal. And you have those other interactions that go with them. For example, if you want Antendara to kind of frontline, you can have a Lucius above her or Hendrik below her. And people always miss these. They put Lucius and Hendrik in the wrong positions. They need to read the furniture. Because these work on the ally that's either above or below you. They give strong, strong buffs to those heroes that would usually just die very fast. And this really makes this mode more interesting. Did you find any other synergies like that that are good to know?
No, but I've honestly found that in general, um, heroes that apply pressure, which is what the Maulers do in this format, are really strong. Basically, because enemies don't have well-formed teams. You know, you're making what you can out of what you have, and having pressure and advancement, I found really works, and that's where the Maulers I find are really just shining in this. You have so much Titus, another fantastic hero in this. Screg, I love seeing, like, you cannot understand how much I love it when I see a Screg because he mounts up so quick and starts dealing that massive damage, whilst also being incredibly thick. Not to mention, with a bunch of them, they have AoE. So Antandra's got AoE, Citrana's got AoE, Screg, Titus, they all got that AoE. If you also pull a Chicken in there, Chicken doesn't need Iron to be good in this format. Chicken with Maulers is really strong because you're grouping them up and then you can get that heavy cleave out of them. And because especially if you have a Screg, you've got the furniture, which is increasing the lunge's damage, and they all lunge, and it works so well.
It's also the dynamics are different. For example, like faction bonus is not as critical. Maybe the Hypogean is more critical. It's like nice to have, but the dynamics between the factions are different. For example, light bearers that usually have Gwyneth that's a big damage dealer. In this mode, I don't know what it is exactly, but she's way better as a stun locker. Her damage could work, but it's nowhere near as consistent, maybe because she doesn't have her supports. And because of this, you have just this complete different meta that's kind of developing, because you, like, light bearers have less damage dealers than the others do, and the damage dealers themselves are different. Like the main two that I see are Cecilia and Oscar, both of which are kind of assassins and not this Gwyneth that's so ranged. And so Maulers are really, really strong because there's not that many heroes that are easy to fit anywhere. They just kind of counter them completely, and they go out to that side of the field, as you say, with those less formed teams that are less able to handle them than they would otherwise.
Yep, definitely, and definitely with that Gwyneth, because like especially against Maulers, they just advance on her. So even though she's a good faction pick against them, she doesn't have her advantage because she loses her effects and they gain theirs, which is really difficult for her. And I agree, Gwyneth is not, she is a win condition, but I don't play her as a win condition a lot of the time unless I have a perfect team for it. I often don't put her in the middle because I figure a lot of people plan for that. So I'm often using her in a top or bottom position to be a counter to the enemy's back row is definitely the way I go. And something that people forget is, yes, the stuns are nice, but also you are getting that flaming arrow, which is reducing healing, which can be very strong as well for countering their team. But we could definitely talk about these synergies forever. Like I said, I feel like the meta will definitely develop a lot further as we go as well. And it's just going to be very interesting to see how it goes. But do you have anything else that's really on the tip of your tongue that you really want to talk about? Because I just realized we've already been going for like 20 minutes. And I want to see if we can, if I can beat you, basically. Any last comments about it? Like, because we'll probably do more of these videos, no doubt, discussing strategies and stuff like that. But I feel like we've gotten a fair few good handy tips out there so far in this one.
Oh man, I just love talking to you. Let's just get to it. We can have another strategy talk another day.
Okay, all right. We're going to cut here. I'm going to set up, and we'll come back for a 1st to 4 best of 7 matchup in sparring. Bring it.
Bring it on.
Okay, here we go. Link has set the challenge. Let's get into the first match. We can't see each other's screens, so this is just fair matching. Let's go. I kind of want to. Let's see. Okay, let's have a look at his team first. So he's got the Mezzo.
Talene Flora.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. With the Thorin, I feel like I do have the matchup. However, you do have some strong units. But I definitely think I have the stronger. I'd definitely be using that the Silas on your team, because Silas is, like I said, he can be so clutch in this. But I don't think it's any surprises to anyone what I'm going to be doing for my first 2.
Mine might be a little bit surprising.
What's yours? I'd be doing a Mezoth and Titus. If I were
Interesting what you're saying. I think I'll go about this a little bit differently
I'd be
because
I'd be going the tightest for you to lunge
Mhm.
to spread out from my flora, because now you're grouping
I
everyone
was
up.
just afraid. Yeah, I was afraid that you could open with. I did not know where Talin would open, and I want to have a very certain
Yeah,
front line and back line against Talin.
I find most people put Taylane top because that's their first pick. So I always try and do the inverse to what the people would think I would do.
Oh man, that's a big brain.
Because the problem with Euron too is like now you're only going to get my tanks because I just
I don't
put.
know if that's necessarily bad. You know, I don't know if that's necessarily bad. It depends on the
It,
role that I want him to do.
like, I did something different. I probably would have changed my decision now. I probably should have put the chicken in there. I chose Pharrell because that would have grouped your team up, meaning that everyone would have got feared.
Misclick.
That was a misplay
Which
by
I think
me
was really bad.
because
No,
everyone
misclick on me. What?
everyone would have got feared by you if I had have put the chicken in. Which
Oh,
you know what,
okay.
I'm still gonna take it in. I was planning to use Odin because Odin is a super powerful support in this game, like super. But I'm going chicken instead to see how this plays out. I'm gonna try and slow my speed down to 2 times so that everyone can see it.
All right.
Okay, there we go. So you did put
I'll
that
have
Titus in.
spoilers.
You did put that Titus in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting the
Mm-hmm.
fears. There goes the big lick.
I think this one's yours.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried by the haste, but you're too low and you don't have the sustain.
Nah, that one's yours.
Yeah.
That one's yours. Good game.
To be fair, I had the better hand. Definitely had the better hand. But yeah, definitely that Titus as the last pick, I feel like was the way for you. Because when Flora doesn't get spread out, it just becomes too much.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like for you guys watching, Flora is a really strong win condition, especially when paired with some things that stall. Like I had the Thorin in there. So like Thorin Flora, Orthros Flora, just really strong. All right, let's battle.
Sometimes you just gotta hope for like a mistake or something.
Yep.
Just how it is.
But like I said, that tech there where I could put the chicken in and group your team up and know my Thorin was going to die to your Euron, to fear the whole team. Those are some of the cool things that I really do like. Oh, damn, I'm sorry, dude. Did you get a good pull?
Oh, man.
See,
I'm...
Zafrael, for those wondering, is another huge win condition in this game. I should have this one, but I can see one thing you can do to counter me, but I'm not going to say it because I'm competitive as hell and I want to win.
All right.
Okay, let's take a look at this. So he's got okay, no lunges. You got no lunges. So I'm tempted not to use Verk, but I could. I'm going to do something weird.
Probably Talin front line, aren't you gonna do it?
I'm going to do something strange because I want to have fun. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. I'm going to do something strange because I want to have fun. Can you tell what I'm doing? Can you tell what I'm doing?
I have an idea. I think you're thinking about either Salas or Hendrik in the backline somewhere.
Nah, you'll find out.
Okay. Okay. Well, Zafrael is probably coming down.
Zafrael's always coming down. He's a huge win condition.
That's right. Mm-hmm. How did I beat you, though, Kevin? How did I beat you?
I would honestly, if I were you, I'd be bringing Mahira because I haven't planned a counter for that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my idea was use what's her face. Like I can put my Nara in, but due to the fact that I told you that, I'm not going to because I forgot I had Nara.
No, you can. You can do that. You can do that.
No,
That's perfectly fine.
I'm going to restart this. But my idea was get Creepy Hand Lady to go onto your Cyrus, and then he's going to have to advance through the poison, and then your Turtle's going to hit poison as well.
Oh, that I did not get. That I did not get. But what I'm hoping to have is either Saurus or Gorvo trigger some sort of stalling. Another one does not seem good to me.
Yeah, like, and to be fair, I did have a busted team compared to you and another synergy you find out, Silas with Taylene is just completely busted in my opinion.
Oh, because they do the healing. Yeah.
Because Taylene is so strong and she's a win condition in herself, but the fact that he then grants her invincibility to keep doing her thing and heal up further, like.
By the way, Artie just ranked up the second as we speak live.
Artie. I was waiting for him to push or Shazam to fall, so now I'm gonna have to play some games later. Okay, let's go again.
All right, but now I gotta bring it down.
Yeah, you
Let's
gotta.
see.
Let's go.
Okay.
Shit, I tell you what, man. Actually, your team's solid. Your team's really solid.
I this time I don't feel that
Wukong is
bad.
another amazing hero in this, so Wukong's definitely good. And if you look at my team, I'm not going to say it, but like Wukong, you need cleave for. You really need cleave, and I've really only got one option for it, which I'm probably going to have to use reluctantly. And another thing is, I'm doing here. Normally, I like to do my tanks first because I don't like to let them know where I'm going to put my tech options in the back row. But this matchup is going to be different just because I do have Taylene Rowan. I feel like that's a staple that everyone knows is going to happen. So that's why it's only the very obvious situations that I use something like that. And also, I like to see where the Wukong plays because I don't like to push CC straight into the Wukong. You're going to have a great stall here, except you don't have sustain. You do have Silas. Okay, he's got Silas. So he does have sustain. I'm gonna need burst for the Wukong is definitely something that I'm gonna need. And believe it or not, I think I'm gonna go for a weird choice here. I think it's gonna be a weird choice, but I think it could play out.
I'm trying to play into the backline from the information that Belinda.
It's my only.
What is Belinda doing there?
Belinda, trust me, she can tech nicely in some teams, and I think you're gonna be you're gonna be surprised by my final pick as well.
Probably will. Like, only one that makes sense to me would be Rosaline or Ukio, maybe.
Yeah, you got it, Ukio. He can be savage in this. He can be absolutely savage.
Especially since you know where my Aaron's gonna be.
Yep.
He's one of those that can re-engage.
Yep.
I did consider putting twins in instead of Silas.
Yep. I would have tried to squeeze twins and Silas instead of Citrana.
Ooh, the Aaron injector. Yeah, that should be
you're on. That's huge. I do have a stun coming from Rowan in a second. If he can pop it, Rowan's dead. Rowan's dead. Oh, the Rowan.
Oh, that is big. That is very big. All right.
Yep, you've got this one. This is mine. Unless Ukio can do dreams. If I get another Belinda ult though, and Taylene comes back.
Nah, she's gonna die. All right.
Ukio,
right. But Belinda survived there for so long.
And that's what I mean with Silas. It's so, like I said, that really changes the battle with who he injects, because it's such a buff if he gets the right one. Good, well played. Let's go again.
Yeah, thank you. I was considering the twins to share stats and try to rush it, but against the lane it's just so difficult.
Yep.
And also Silas, I see something on your team. I see somebody on your team. There's one person on your team that I'm gonna get my eyes straight on.
Yeah, obviously Iron's definite big win condition. You do have a couple really solid counters to it though.
Are you sure about that?
Yes. You have Drez. You have Drez who can teleport the first time he would get killed. You've got Brutus and you've got Thorin. Things that all are not going to get instant killed by him. It's something not to discard. I'm going to do a random pick here. I'm going to do something strange.
Again?
Yep, just because I feel like you're going to try and counter me, so you're going to be surprised by my front row.
All right.
I'm surprised by yours too, actually, if we're being honest, because the thing I never do against an Irons is put something in the back row at the start.
Because then you can know where to put Irons.
Now I know Irons is fairly safe at the top. Because you can't lunge in unless you've got big brain. You probably do have big brain, but like I said, your general team can counter him very well.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I agree, because I don't feel, unless Drez rushes to that side of the field.
Don't get me wrong. I'm talking like when I say very well, I mean like a 20% chance. Like, and that is very well for him. You know what I mean?
Just so strong.
My last pick.
I see Silas Isold coming down as another win condition.
Yep, definitely. I'm so tempted to put Totem Dude in there, but I do like the stat boost from getting multiple. See, you also had Tassie who can avoid the damage as well. So you had a lot of things available to you that can actually survive the first hit of him. and move through.
The idea is to burst it.
And the
Otherwise,
thing
I'm
is,
pretty much dead.
you got to remember, you had the Thorin as well, and sometimes Thorin puts his curse on irons, and if you can just get a little bit of splash damage, it can help. But yeah, like I just had the matchup there. I feel bad because 3 of the games I've just had a distinct matchup, and the only fair one you won.
Nah, man. Nah, there was at least one of them where I had like Mejia, which was pretty good.
But having said that, Mihira's only good in certain situations. She's still hard to make use in PvP.
That's right. That's right. That's true also to normal PvP.
Yeah.
Normally in God Capacitas, you know?
See, Mihira, like, all Hypergenes become strong. Man, I'm sorry.
Just Zafrael. It's not that bad. Zafrael Screg.
Zafrael, Screg, Titus, Totem Dude, and Verk. And then I've got tech pick, the tech pick of the Iron.
Uh-huh. Let me see. I don't think this is already lost. I think
no, it's not. But I always feel bad when I've got the better win condition.
All right, so you like your Titus frontline.
See, and something I never do, I think you might be big braining me, is I never put Arthur in. When I know they've got Euron, Athalia, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Because then they could just engage in your backline.
You straight lose his effect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I'm worried that you're big braining me, so I'm not too sure.
No, I'm those are in complete fear. All right.
Damn, you hit my totem, dude. That's all right. Because Zafrael doesn't get locked out by Athalia, does he?
He does not. He teleports to the enemy side of the field before her.
If I didn't have Totem Dude and I had Zafrael there, you probably would hit Screg and not CC'd, which would have been really good for me.
But do you know how Nara Aaron works in this? It's pretty interesting. It's not like the usual.
Oh, what? You get knocked over.
You see that?
That's weird. I've never seen that interaction.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy.
So that should be 3.
Wait.
Right? Or 4?
I don't know. I think that's... Yeah, because I had the 2... Yeah, I've had... That's been 4 where I've had the better matchup. And you had the 1 win.
Right.
But let's do one more for fun. Because I'm really enjoying this. And I just like the learning experience. Like, I didn't know that thing with Nara and Euron. I didn't know that happened. Mm-hmm. So Nara just falls over.
Exactly. You normally would think, oh man, there's no way that works. Yeah.
Okay, this is finally good. I like this. Now that the real competition's over and I've claimed victory, you can have the better team.
Lilith rigging the matches.
I really wish I really wish. And see, this is now. I want you to try Zolrath in this one because Zolrath with Zafrael is a very powerful one. But don't put Flora in if you do that. Or you could go the Flora comp. Yeah, you've got it. I'd go Thorin if I were you because you got the Flora. That's definitely how I'd go be playing this. Let's see. What do I want to do?
You probably either Torn for my Zafrael moving, probably Rowan frontline, and maybe Antandara Dress. Oh, that was all right.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Different because I got something I want to play out.
Mm-hmm. How do I fight this? I think I want to pick a little bit of a tech choice.
Yeah, I'm just playing tech at the moment. And the other thing is, Albedo can be really strong even without any other dimensionals in there. She can,
really? That's one thing I don't
know. Like against the right matchup. Like your team, I probably wouldn't pick her. But she can. Mm-hmm. Keeping in mind, if you've got squishy front rows, maybe with that Estrelda, you could make her work.
I think my idea was with Estrelda something else. But for you, I'm seeing either Torn or Aaron coming down probably. Or Drez.
Yeah, Drez.
Aaron,
like the higher faction bonus does make a bit of effect as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, well, the thing is, I do have Oscar on the lower point where he does like running into him with 2 maulers that are agility based is a little rough.
Yeah. Yeah, you got me.
All right.
Well played. Well played. Well played. That was hella fun. We'll definitely be doing this stuff again. Man, now I've got to try and push and catch Artie. I can tell he did 1 win and he's like come at me.
He's like happy. He's like
So yeah,
satisfied.
that smug face, like I can just picture, like, you know, that smug just put the phone down and just have a big sigh and go, your turn.
Yeah.
It's so good. Anyway,
100%.
dude, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the channel. This was a lot of fun. I really do enjoy, like, I think everyone can tell I just love this format, and I could talk about it for hours. So I appreciate you coming on to do it for me. Guys, if you haven't checked out Linker, he does really good interview series as well on his channel, where he interviews a bunch of people from the community. I need something like this to do collabs because my straight interview skills are very lacking. So if you want to see interviews with just different people from the community, it's fantastic. Go check out Linker's channel. And any closing words, Linker?
Been a lot of pleasure for me. Thank you for having me. Check out the channel for more in-depth stuff about the game and those interviews. Had Volkin there too, and Shazam. And Volkin, good luck catching up to Artie right now. You got a lot to do.
Thanks, dude.